Sometimes in life, the world expects you to prove yourself. People will tell you what you can't do, where you can't go, and who you can never become. But the most beautiful miracle happens when you stop trying to meet their expectations and start focusing on yourself. That's when you shock them, not with noise, not with arguments, but with your growth, your strength, and your success. Life teaches us again and again that no one else is going to walk our journey for us. You can have people around, you can have support and encouragement, but in the end, you are the one who has to wake up and fight your battles. When you stop depending on others for validation and begin focusing on yourself, you realize that your life is yours to design. You stop waiting for someone to believe in you and start believing in yourself. That is when the foundation of true strength is laid. When you build this inner strength, your thoughts begin to transform. Instead of replaying doubts and fears, your mind becomes a source of power. Protecting your energy becomes essential because not everyone deserves to have access to your peace. You start to see that solitude is not emptiness. It is a gift that allows you to discover yourself. When you can sit alone without feeling lonely, you are no longer at the mercy of anyone's approval or presence. That is where unshakable confidence is born. Focusing on yourself also means you stop competing with people who have nothing to do with your purpose. You start comparing yourself only to the person you were yesterday, and that is where growth truly happens. Every scar you carry, every pain you endured becomes a story of transformation. Pain is no longer something you hide, it is something you use to rise. You turn every wound into wisdom, and that wisdom becomes your silent weapon. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality, and when you focus on yourself, discipline becomes your companion. You work in silence, you build in silence, and one day the echoes of your hard work speak louder than any announcement ever could. The right people will be drawn to your energy, not because you chased them, but because your growth became magnetic. The process itself becomes something you fall in love with, not just the end result, because you see that every step forward is shaping you into someone stronger. Even the smallest victories deserve celebration because they carry you toward greater triumphs. You stop feeling the need to explain your journey to those who doubt you, because in time, they will see for themselves. You nurture unshakable faith in yourself, even when no one else believes. You no longer waste energy on anger or revenge because you understand the most powerful revenge is undeniable success. That kind of success cannot be ignored. It commands respect in silence. And when you stay consistent, when you focus so deeply on becoming your best self, you shock everyone without even trying. The same people who doubted you, who whispered behind your back, will be forced to witness your light. They will be surprised not because you fought them, but because you rose above them. Life is not about proving them wrong. It is about proving to yourself that you were always capable. Focus on yourself, rise in silence, and let your success become the loudest sound in the room. So many people spend their lives waiting for someone else to notice them, to clap for them, to tell them that they are worthy. But when you depend on that kind of validation, you hand over the key to your happiness. The truth is, people who cannot see their own worth will never see yours clearly. Their opinions are shaped by their insecurities, and if you let them define you, you will always remain a prisoner of their limitations. Real freedom begins when you stop seeking their approval and start recognizing your own value. When you focus on your own worth, you no longer feel the urge to prove yourself to those who do not care. You realize that your journey is not a performance, and you do not exist to meet someone else's expectations. Every time you try to fit into the mold others create for you, you lose a part of who you really are. By stepping away from their judgments, you reclaim your identity. It is in this space of independence that self-respect begins to grow, and with it comes a quiet strength that no rejection can take away. The moment you stop seeking validation, you start to hear a voice you may have ignored for years, the voice inside you. It whispers that you are enough, even with your flaws and imperfections. It reminds you of the battles you have already survived, the storms you have already faced, and the countless times you got back up. That voice is your true guide, not the noise of people who cannot see past their own doubts. Listening to it gives you clarity, and clarity gives you power. This shift also changes how you handle criticism. Instead of breaking under harsh words, you begin to filter them. You learn to take lessons from honest feedback, but discard the negativity that comes from envy or ignorance. You stop carrying other people's insecurities on your shoulders. By refusing to let their opinions shape your destiny, you lighten your emotional burden and give yourself room to grow. That growth, in turn, becomes undeniable proof of your strength. As you strengthen this habit, you discover a new kind of peace, the peace of not needing to explain yourself. You no longer waste energy convincing people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Your actions, your consistency, and your progress become your loudest statements. And without realizing it, you begin to inspire those very people who once doubted you. They see in you a reflection of what they could become if only they stopped holding themselves back. And finally, when you stop seeking validation, you stop living small, you stop dimming your light just to make others comfortable. You realize that shining brightly does not require anyone else's permission. You stand tall, walk with confidence, and embrace your uniqueness fully. That is when you shock everyone, not because you asked them to believe in you, but because you believed in yourself first. And that belief is powerful enough to move mountains. The mind is the most powerful tool you carry within you, yet for many it becomes the biggest obstacle. Every thought has the potential to either lift you up or pull you down. And often it is not the world outside that limits you, but the silent voices within. When you let negative thoughts dominate, you start believing in your limitations more than your possibilities. But the moment you decide to work on your mind, to train it like a muscle, you begin to unlock a strength that nothing external can shake. Working on your mind means replacing doubt with belief. It is about catching yourself when you say, "I can't," and changing it to, "Why not me?" The way you talk to yourself is the foundation of how you live your life. If you constantly replay the story of your failures, you will keep reliving them. But when you remind yourself of your resilience, your victories, and your potential, your actions begin to align with those powerful thoughts. This does not happen overnight. Training the mind requires patience and practice, just like shaping the body. You learn to feed it with the right knowledge, the right words, the right affirmations. You surround yourself with positivity, not because life is always kind, but because your mind needs that nourishment to stay strong. Even in silence, the mind speaks, and you must learn to guide that voice toward courage instead of fear. There will always be moments when doubt tries to creep back in. That is natural. But working on your mind does not mean eliminating fear. It means learning to rise above it. It means telling yourself that fear is just a sign of growth, not a signal to stop. Every time you face something uncomfortable and choose to push through it, your mind expands. It learns that discomfort is temporary, but the strength it builds is permanent. When your thoughts begin to empower you, life starts to shift in ways you never imagined. Opportunities that once felt impossible suddenly look achievable. You no longer see obstacles as dead ends, but as challenges to overcome. Your confidence grows, and with it comes the ability to inspire others, because people are drawn to someone whose mind radiates strength and possibility. The real victory is when your inner voice becomes your biggest supporter instead of your harshest critic. That is when your mind transforms from a cage into a set of wings. And once your thoughts are aligned with your purpose, there is nothing in this world that can hold you back. That is the true power of working on your mind. Your entire life begins to reflect the strength you have built within. There comes a time in life when you realize that not everyone around you has the right to be in your inner world. Protecting your energy is not about being selfish. It is about understanding that your peace is sacred. If you allow anyone and everyone to enter your space, you end up carrying their chaos, their negativity, and their doubts. Your heart and mind are like a garden. When you stop guarding it, weeds start to take over. Protecting your energy means making a conscious choice to water the flowers, not the weeds. There will always be people who thrive on gossip, drama, or constant complaints. If you are not careful, you absorb that energy and it begins to shape your mood, your thoughts, and even your dreams. You might find yourself drained without knowing why. The truth is, not everyone deserves unlimited access to you. You have to learn to recognize who lifts you higher and who silently pulls you down. That awareness becomes your shield. Protecting your energy also means setting boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks, and you hold the key. You decide who gets to walk in, how long they stay, and when it is time for them to leave. When you say no to what drains you, you are saying yes to what sustains you. And in that simple shift, you gain back the strength to focus on the things that truly matter. Sometimes the hardest part of protecting your energy is stepping away from people you love. You may care deeply for them, but if they constantly bring negativity into your life, you cannot allow their storm to destroy your calm. Loving someone does not mean tolerating everything they bring. True love includes protecting yourself enough to create space when needed. That space allows you to love from a distance without losing yourself in the process. The beauty of protecting your energy is that it creates room for peace to grow. When you filter out the noise, you begin to hear your own thoughts clearly. You feel lighter, calmer, and more connected to yourself. Your creativity flows, your focus sharpens, and your ability to handle challenges multiplies. You realize that peace is not found in the absence of problems, but in the presence of inner balance. And in the end, protecting your energy is what allows you to rise above. You no longer react to every negativity thrown at you because your peace is stronger than their chaos. You shock people not by fighting them, but by remaining unshaken in your calmness. Your silence, your composure, your joy, all of it becomes your loudest response. Protect your energy and you protect your destiny. There is a powerful difference between being alone and being lonely. Loneliness is when you crave someone else to fill your emptiness, but being alone is when you discover that you already have everything you need within yourself. When you learn to sit in your own company without discomfort, you realize that solitude is not a punishment. It is a gift. It gives you the space to hear your own thoughts, to reconnect with your heart, and to understand yourself on a deeper level. In the silence of solitude, you discover your real voice. The world is always loud, filled with opinions, judgments, and distractions. But when you step away and sit with yourself, you hear a clarity that was buried under all the noise. You realize what you truly want, what you truly value, and what kind of life you want to build. That clarity only comes when you are brave enough to be alone without searching for constant company. Being comfortable with solitude also makes you emotionally independent. You stop clinging to people out of fear of being left behind. Instead, you learn to love freely without desperation because you no longer need someone else to complete you. You are whole on your own, and anyone who walks into your life is a choice, not a necessity. That shift is powerful because it gives you freedom. The freedom to love without chains and to walk away without fear. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. Silence can feel heavy when you are used to filling it with noise. But with time, that same silence becomes peaceful. You begin to notice the little details in life you once ignored, the way your thoughts flow, the rhythm of your breath, the beauty in stillness. These small realizations build inner strength, and soon you find yourself enjoying your own company in ways you never imagined. When you are strong alone, your relationships with others also change. You stop expecting people to rescue you from yourself, and instead you meet them from a place of strength. You give love, support, and kindness without draining yourself because you are not pouring from an empty cup. Solitude teaches you to refill your cup, so when you show up for others, you show up whole. And in the end, learning to be alone without feeling lonely is where your true strength is born. The world cannot break someone who has already found peace in their own presence. You shock people not by surrounding yourself with crowds, but by standing tall in silence, radiating strength from within. That kind of independence is unshakable, and once you find it, you carry a light that no darkness can dim. The world often teaches us to measure our worth by looking at others, what they have achieved, what they own, how far they have gone. But the truth is, their journey has nothing to do with yours. Competing with others is like running a race on a track that was never meant for you. You exhaust yourself chasing shadows while forgetting that your only true competitor is the person you were yesterday. That comparison is the only one that matters because growth is deeply personal. When you wake up each day determined to be just a little better than you were before, you set yourself free from jealousy and insecurity. It no longer matters who is ahead of you or who seems to have more. What matters is that you are moving forward, even if it is one small step at a time. Those small steps add up, and before you realize it, you are far ahead of the version of yourself that once felt stuck. That progress is worth more than any external recognition. Competing with your past self also teaches you humility. You stop seeking perfection and start seeking improvement. You no longer punish yourself for not being the best in the room, because your goal is simply to be better than the person you were yesterday. That shift in mindset brings peace, because progress feels achievable when it is measured against your own growth, not against someone else's highlight reel. There will always be people who rise faster, who shine brighter, who seem to get opportunities more easily. But instead of resenting them, you learn to respect their path while staying committed to your own. Their success no longer threatens you because you realize you are not in competition with them. Your path is unique, your timing is different, and your only job is to honor your own journey by growing steadily. Every day becomes a new opportunity to improve your discipline, your habits, your mindset. Maybe yesterday you struggled with doubt. Today you choose courage. Maybe yesterday you gave up too early. Today you choose persistence. These small victories over your old self build confidence and momentum. And with each step you feel stronger, more capable, and more grounded in who you are becoming. And in the end, when you compete only with who you were yesterday, you shock everyone without even trying. People notice your steady growth, your quiet strength, and your resilience. They see that you are not chasing anyone, yet you keep rising. That is the real victory, not being better than others, but being so focused on your own growth that your transformation becomes impossible to ignore. Pain has a way of making us feel broken, as if the weight of our struggles has stolen pieces of who we are. But pain, when embraced instead of feared, can become the very force that transforms us. Every scar carries a story not of defeat, but of survival. The fact that you are still here breathing, despite everything you have endured, is already proof that pain can be turned into power. It is not the wound that defines you, but the way you rise from it. When you shift your perspective, pain becomes your greatest teacher. It teaches you resilience because every time you fall and get back up, you build strength you didn't know you had. It teaches you empathy because only those who have suffered truly know how to hold another person's hand in their suffering. And it teaches you gratitude because when you come out of darkness, even the smallest light feels like a blessing. These lessons cannot be learned in comfort. They are born in struggle. Turning pain into power also means refusing to let bitterness control you. It is easy to let wounds harden your heart, to believe that the world owes you something. But true strength comes when you decide not to let the hurt define your character. Instead, you take the pain and use it as fuel, to create, to grow, to inspire. The very things that were meant to break you become the foundation of the person you are becoming. Your scars are not signs of weakness, they are marks of survival. They tell the world that you endured storms and still found the courage to stand tall. You don't need to hide them because they are proof of your story. Every scar whispers, I was hurt, but I healed. I was broken, but I rebuilt. And when others see your scars, they also see the strength it took to overcome them. In that way, your scars inspire more than your victories ever could. The beauty of turning pain into power is that it gives meaning to what once felt meaningless. You start to realize that the suffering you went through was not wasted. It shaped you into someone stronger, someone wiser, someone unshakable. The nights you cried, the battles you lost, the disappointments you faced, they all carved resilience into your soul. You no longer carry pain as a burden. You carry it as a reminder of your ability to rise. And one day when people look at you, they will not see someone who was broken. They will see someone who turned every scar into a story of victory. They will be shocked not because you never suffered, but because you transformed suffering into strength. That is the true power of pain. It does not just end your old chapter. It begins a new one where you stand as the author of your own triumph. Discipline is the quiet bridge between dreams and reality. It is not glamorous, and it is rarely celebrated in the beginning. Discipline happens when no one is watching, when the world is asleep, and you are still working. It demands sacrifice, the choice to do what must be done instead of what is easy. At times it feels lonely, but it is in that very silence that your future is being built. What others call boring routines are the seeds of greatness waiting to bloom. When you discipline yourself, you stop being controlled by moods and excuses. You no longer wait to feel motivated because you know that consistency is stronger than temporary emotions. Even on days when your body is tired and your mind whispers to give up, discipline carries you forward. That steady, unshakable commitment is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Every repetition, every practice, every small effort adds up in ways the eye cannot yet see. The world may not notice your effort at first. People may overlook your silent work, or even doubt whether it will lead to anything. But discipline is not about immediate applause, it is about delayed gratification. One day when results begin to show, the same people who dismissed your quiet grind will be amazed at the life you created. What echoes loudly is not the hours you spent hidden in effort, but the transformation that effort produces. Discipline also builds trust within yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, waking up early, showing up for your goals, finishing what you started, you strengthen your own self-respect. You begin to believe in yourself in a way that no external validation can provide. That belief becomes a powerful force because if you can rely on yourself, there is nothing in this world that can stop you. Silence becomes your greatest ally in this journey. While others are busy talking, comparing, and boasting, you are building. While others chase distractions, you are focused on progress. And one day, when the noise fades, it will be your results that speak the loudest. Success has a way of making silence echo. Your growth, your achievements, your transformation will all testify to the discipline you practiced in private. In the end, discipline is the art of choosing long-term gain over short-term comfort. It is the voice that tells you to keep going when no one is cheering. And when the results finally appear, they do not whisper, they roar. The world will be shocked not because you spoke of your plans, but because you lived them. What you do in silence will one day echo so loudly that no one will ever doubt your strength again. When you spend your life chasing people, you hand them the power to decide your worth. You run after their approval, their attention, their love, and in the process, you lose yourself. The harder you chase, the further they seem to run because desperation pushes people away. But when you shift your focus to growth, something changes. You stop trying to force relationships and instead allow the right ones to be drawn to your light. Growth is magnetic. When you work on yourself, when you heal, when you improve, you naturally begin to attract people who resonate with your energy. The right people are not pulled to you because of how loudly you demand their presence, but because of the quiet strength you carry. They see your discipline, your courage, your resilience, and they are drawn to it. The people who belong in your life will find you when you rise, not when you chase. It is not easy to let go of the need to be liked or accepted by everyone. But chasing people only leaves you exhausted, while growth leaves you empowered. When you grow, you no longer settle for shallow connections. You begin to recognize who values you genuinely and who only stays out of convenience. That clarity helps you let go of the wrong ones gracefully, without bitterness, because you know your energy is too precious to be wasted. The truth is, the people who leave when you stop chasing were never meant to stay. Their absence is not a loss. It is space being created for better connections to enter. Every time someone walks away, you are being prepared to meet someone who aligns with your journey. The right people do not need to be begged, convinced, or pursued. They show up, they stay, and they add value to your life effortlessly. Focusing on growth also protects your heart. Instead of building your identity around who accepts you, you build it around who you are becoming. That shift gives you confidence, and confidence naturally attracts respect. People will notice the way you carry yourself, the way you no longer chase, the way you radiate self-worth, and that presence will bring you the relationships that match your growth, not the ones that drain it. In the end, life becomes lighter when you stop chasing. You realize that the right people do not need to be forced. They come and stay because they truly belong. Let your growth be the magnet. Work so deeply on yourself that you shine without asking for attention, and soon the ones who are meant to be in your life will be standing beside you, not because you ran after them, but because your light was too strong to be ignored. So many people give up on their dreams not because they lack talent, but because they are only in love with the results. They crave the success, the recognition, the applause, but when the hard work feels endless, their motivation fades. The truth is, results take time, and if you only live for the outcome, you will lose patience long before you get there. But when you fall in love with the process, every day becomes meaningful, every effort feels rewarding, and the journey itself becomes worth living. The process is where the real growth happens. It is in the early mornings when you push yourself to rise, in the late nights when you keep going while the world sleeps, in the small steps that no one applauds, but all of which build you into someone stronger. The process shapes your character, develops your resilience, and teaches you lessons that no achievement can teach on its own. Falling in love with the process means embracing these unseen victories. When you value the process, failure no longer feels like the end. Instead, it becomes part of the learning, a necessary step in moving forward. Every mistake teaches you something new, every setback gives you wisdom, and every struggle toughens your spirit. The process doesn't promise comfort, but it does promise transformation. And when you learn to appreciate even the struggles, you start seeing them as blessings in disguise. Loving the process also keeps you grounded. Results can feed your ego, but the process humbles you. It reminds you that greatness is not built overnight, but through consistent effort. It teaches you patience, because some things simply take time. And it teaches you gratitude, because along the way you begin to notice how far you have come rather than only obsessing over how far you still have to go. The more you focus on the process, the less you compare yourself to others. You stop obsessing over their timelines and begin to trust your own. The journey becomes personal, and progress becomes the only competition. Each day becomes an opportunity to move forward, and that forward motion brings joy in itself. The satisfaction of giving your best today becomes just as fulfilling as reaching the final destination. And then one day the results will come quietly, naturally, as the byproduct of your dedication. But by that time you will realize that the real victory was never the result itself, but the person you became along the way. That is the beauty of falling in love with the process. It not only takes you to success, but also transforms you into someone who can handle it with grace. So often we wait for the big breakthrough, the life-changing achievement, the one moment where everything falls into place. But what we forget is that big victories are built on small wins, one after another. Every step forward, no matter how tiny it seems, is proof that you are moving in the right direction. When you learn to celebrate these small wins, you begin to fuel your own journey with joy instead of frustration. Acknowledging the small wins reminds you that progress is happening. Even if the destination still feels far away, it is easy to become discouraged when the big picture looks overwhelming, but breaking it down into little achievements gives you hope. That moment when you finish a task you once delayed, when you keep a promise to yourself, when you push through a day you wanted to quit. These are victories worth celebrating because they strengthen the foundation for what is yet to come. Celebrating small wins also builds momentum. Success is not just about one giant leap, it is about consistent steps that create unstoppable energy. When you notice and honor those small steps, you train your mind to keep going. You start to feel motivated not only by the end goal, but also by the journey itself. Each win becomes a spark, and together they light the fire that keeps you moving forward. The beauty of small wins is that they teach you patience. They remind you that greatness is not achieved overnight, but through steady effort. They show you that progress can be quiet, even invisible to others, yet still deeply powerful. This mindset prevents you from feeling defeated just because the final goal hasn't arrived yet. Instead, you carry gratitude for how far you have already come. Every small win also prepares you for bigger victories by building resilience and confidence. The skills you sharpen in those small moments, the discipline, the persistence, the self-belief, are the same skills you will need when greater opportunities arrive. Without them, big victories would overwhelm you. With them, you are ready not only to achieve, but to sustain your success. And when you look back one day, you will see that the small wins were never really small at all. They were the stepping stones that carried you across the impossible. They were the quiet proofs that you were stronger than your doubts. By celebrating them, you train yourself to live in appreciation, and in that appreciation, you find the strength to keep going until the big victory finally becomes yours. There will always be people who question your choices, your path, and even your dreams. They will not understand why you work so hard, why you take risks, or why you refuse to settle. But the truth is, your journey was never meant to be understood by everyone. You do not owe explanations to those who cannot see what you see. The vision is yours, not theirs, and that is why only you are meant to walk it. When you spend your energy explaining yourself, you drain the very strength you need to keep moving forward. Some people do not ask to understand, they ask to judge. They are not interested in your growth. They are only interested in confirming their doubts. Instead of wasting time convincing them, it is better to let your actions do the talking. Silence paired with consistency is more powerful than 1,000 words of justification. Every journey is personal. What makes sense to you may look foolish to someone else, and that is perfectly fine. You are not here to live according to their expectations. You are here to grow, to discover, to transform, and to rise in your own unique way. The very steps that look meaningless to others may be the ones that save you, shape you, and prepare you for the future. Doubt from others often comes from their own fear, not your lack of ability. People project their limitations onto you because they cannot imagine doing what you are attempting. If they cannot see themselves achieving it, they assume you cannot either. But remember, their vision does not limit your reality. What they cannot see today, they will be forced to witness tomorrow. And one day, the results of your journey will speak louder than any explanation you could have given. The same people who doubted you, who whispered behind your back, will have no choice but to face the truth of your growth. They will see your transformation, your success, your strength, and realize that your silence was not weakness. It was wisdom. You did not argue, you did not explain, you simply showed them through action. In the end, the most powerful statement is not in justifying your path, but in walking it with unwavering faith. Those who doubted you will understand later, and those who believed in you never needed an explanation in the first place. Your journey is yours alone, and when you stay focused on it, the results will shock everyone without you saying a word. There will be moments in life when no one believes in you, when your dreams seem too big for others to understand, and when even the closest people doubt your potential. In those moments, it is tempting to give up, to shrink your vision so it fits into their limited perspective. But if you surrender to their doubts, you will never discover the strength of your own wings. This is why you must build unshakable faith in yourself, even when the world is silent or critical. Faith in yourself is not about arrogance. It is about trust. It is about looking at the challenges ahead and whispering to yourself, I may not have all the answers, but I will find a way. It is about believing in your ability to adapt, to learn, and to grow no matter what life throws at you. When you carry this faith, setbacks stop feeling like endings and start looking like opportunities to rise again. Unshakable faith is not built overnight. It is built every time you choose to stand up after falling, every time you silence the voice of doubt in your head, and every time you keep going despite fear. These small acts of courage create a foundation so strong that eventually no storm can tear it down. The more you trust yourself, the more resilient you become, and that resilience turns you into someone unstoppable. Of course, there will be times when you feel alone in this belief, No encouragement, no applause, no one cheering for you. But those are the moments that test your faith the most. If you can still believe in yourself when no one else does, you carry a strength that cannot be shaken by anyone's opinion. That inner conviction becomes your fuel, pushing you further than external validation ever could. The beauty of faith in yourself is that it attracts results. When you act with confidence, you begin to see opportunities that others miss. You take chances others are too afraid to take. You keep moving when others stop. Slowly but surely, your faith starts to manifest in reality. And as your results grow, people begin to notice. The same ones who doubted you start to admire the courage you had to believe in yourself first. In the end, faith in yourself is the foundation of every success. If you wait for others to believe in you, you will wait forever. But when you build unshakable faith from within, you shock the world by proving that you were always capable. And the greatest victory is not that they finally believe in you, it is that you never stopped believing in yourself. There will always be people who hurt you, betray you, or underestimate you. In those moments, the natural instinct is to fight back with anger, to prove them wrong with loud words or harsh actions. But anger consumes you more than it punishes them. It burns your peace, steals your focus, and leaves you drained. The sweetest form of revenge is not anger at all. It is the calm, steady pursuit of your own growth until your success speaks louder than any retaliation ever could. When you choose massive success as your response, you reclaim control. Instead of letting bitterness dictate your steps, you allow discipline and vision to guide you. Every time you resist the urge to lash out and instead channel that energy into your goals, you are rewriting your story. You are saying, I will not be defined by how you treated me. I will be defined by what I build despite it. That shift transforms pain into fuel, and suddenly the very thing that was meant to break you becomes your source of power. The beauty of success as revenge is that it cannot be argued with. Words can be twisted, anger can be dismissed, but results are undeniable. When you rise above the noise and quietly achieve, those who doubted you are left with no choice but to face the truth. Your growth forces them to acknowledge what they once refused to see, that you were always stronger than their judgment, always capable despite their disbelief. Massive success also keeps your spirit intact. Anger leaves scars, but success heals them. It reminds you that you did not need to fight on their level to win. You won by elevating yourself, by focusing on what truly mattered. It is not about crushing them. It is about building yourself so high that the negativity cannot reach you anymore. That is the kind of victory that brings peace, not just pride. And as you keep growing, you realize that revenge was never really the goal. Success becomes about you, about proving to yourself that you could overcome, that you could rise, that you could create a life far greater than the one they imagined for you. In the process, you stop caring whether they notice or not, because you are too busy enjoying the life you built. The irony is that they will notice anyway, because success is impossible to ignore. In the end, the best revenge will always be your transformation. Not your anger, not your arguments, but your achievements. Let them see you rise, not through rage, but through resilience. Let them be shocked not by your words, but by the greatness you built in silence. Because nothing stings more to a doubter than watching the person they dismissed turn into everything they never believed you could be. There is something powerful about shifting your energy inward, about deciding that instead of chasing approval or battling doubters, you will put every ounce of your strength into becoming your best self. When you do this, you stop living for the noise around you and start living for the growth within you. Every day becomes a chance to refine yourself, to learn something new, to break an old habit, and to rise a little higher than you were yesterday. Focusing on your best self requires honesty. It means confronting your weaknesses instead of hiding them, embracing your flaws instead of denying them, and working tirelessly to improve. It is not about perfection, but about progress. And as you continue to grow, you begin to realize that your true competition has never been other people. It has always been the person you were yesterday. The more you pour into yourself, the less the doubts of others matter. You stop needing validation because your confidence grows from within. You stop seeking shortcuts because you understand the beauty of discipline. And slowly, without even realizing it, you become the kind of person who carries quiet strength, the kind that others can see without you ever having to announce it. Those who once doubted you will eventually see the transformation. They will remember the person they underestimated, the one they whispered about, the one they dismissed. But when they see who you have become, their words will fall silent. It won't be because you argue with them or try to prove them wrong. It will be because your growth is undeniable. The truth is, the journey to your best self is not meant to shock others, it is meant to free you. But the irony is, when you focus so deeply on evolving, The very people who once doubted you cannot help but stand in awe. Your light will shine so brightly that it will illuminate even the darkest corners of their disbelief. And in that moment, you won't feel anger. You will feel gratitude for having stayed the course. In the end, nothing is louder than transformation. No speech, no defense, no argument could ever compare to the power of showing up as the best version of yourself. So keep growing, keep learning, keep rising. One day, without even trying, you will shock the world, not because you sought revenge, but because you chose to bloom fully into the person you were always meant to be. Life is not about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you were always capable. The world will be shocked not because you fought them, but because you rose above them. Focus on yourself and let your light be so bright that no one can ignore it.